Hi guys and welcome. Today I wanted to show everyone an amazing rover I found on the workshop created by Vomsay? Vomsay? Not sure if I'm saying that correctly, you'll have to forgive me for that. However, this is a beauty. I'm always looking for new ships to draw inspiration from, and when I saw this rover I was really amazed by the sheer detail that was put into this one. So I'll go ahead and add the workshop link in the description if you want to have a look for yourself. Also too, if you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe as I have many more videos like this coming out in the future.
Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Now without further ado, let me go ahead and show you this awesome rover. Alright, so let's start off by showcasing the outside of this rover first. So coming around the side here, you'll see that they've added these little unfinished panels coming off the side of the rover, and that's really cool because what they did with it is they incorporated these corner lights coming off the side, so it kind of adds like this luminescent effect around the entire rover at nighttime, and it really looks great. And then on top of that, you kind of get this outside lighting in the shade here, like when you're under the ship or anything like that. But I just thought this like added detail where they have these like little lights branching off the side looks really cool. And then if we come around the back here, they did the exact same thing, but they turned it into brake lights, and I thought that looked really cool. That just aesthetically, that looks awesome in my opinion. So showing how like you can actually turn these things into brake lights and make it actually look and be functional. And then so it looks like we have a little flyer at the back here too, and it's like a little makeshift hangar, but it's kind of unfinished, but it looks nice. And then coming around the other side here, kind of the same exact thing we saw earlier. We have this little catwalk that kind of stretches around the side of the ship, or sorry, the side of the rover. And what's kind of cool about this is, you have these little areas where you can kind of take cover and then kind of peek back out and shoot at your enemies if you're like on the side of your rover. So that's pretty cool. And then as you can also see, they've kind of scattered these interior turrets all around the rover itself. And then coming around the front here, it looks like, okay, so yeah, this is the cockpit. I really like this cockpit design. I know it's really simple, but it just kind of looks like a shark nose to me, the way it kind of protrudes like that. But regardless, it does look really nice. And then, yep, we have another interior turret right here, and then they have a connector right here. One thing that I thought was really cool is if you go down here, they have this little button right here, and it'll make the connector kind of rotate down, and that's really cool. Now if we go up to the top here, we can kind of look at what they have going on up here. So they have an antenna that's kind of at a slant because it's on a rotor. Or no, that's not a rotor, that's a hinge, my bad. So they have an antenna on a hinge here. And this is really cool because if you take a kind of a glance of the rover from like the outside a little bit distant way, you can see that the rover actually has a pretty shallow height, I guess you could say. And this antenna doesn't really affect the rover as much because it's kind of slanted. So it keeps the profile of the rover down a good bit. And then looks like we have a laser antenna. I can only really see that being useful if you wanted to like send a signal out into space, just because, sending a signal on the ground with a laser antenna kind of gets blocked off by the terrain. But we also have an ore detector right here. You got a little solar panel for some extra power. And then, oh, cool. So they added an exhaust pipe right here, which is really awesome because you can definitely just do so many different cool like roleplay things with this, do smoke or gas or anything like that, or fire. Really kind of add some extra detail to your ship on the fly. And then right here, another one of those connectors on a hinge here. So if we go control space here, let me just go ahead and show you guys how this works. I think this is really cool in my opinion. So if you're like maybe driving this underneath a station or like some kind of, I don't know how to describe it, you'd have to have some kind of station that kind of hangs above the rover and can kind of connect down. But isn't that just so cool right there? You have a connector that kind of like faces up, so not only can you dock things from like the top down, like if you had some kind of ship come down from space and kind of dock, maybe deposit some resources into the rover, but you could also, dock up into like maybe a hangar or something like that. So that looks definitely really cool in my opinion. But besides that, that's pretty much the outside. Let's go ahead and take a look on the inside here. So If we go to the bottom here, we'll see that, right, so we have some ladders on both sides. And then if you walk up to this end game, you don't even need to use your jetpack, which is nice because, you know, if you're in maybe a high G planet or something like that, you may not have the ability to use your jetpack all the time. But coming on up here, you'll see that, what do we have going on here? So, okay, so we have a little panel here. What does this do? So this toggles on the O2 H2 generators, hydrogen engines. Okay, so this is cool. So if you need some more power at any point, you can come down here into like the little lower bay of the rover and kind of turn on this extra power if you need it for whatever reason. And then I like this back here. So you have like this little shooting bay, I like to call it, I guess. I'm not sure what the real functionality of this is, but for me, like if I was getting chased by another rover and I had my buddy driving, I would be back here with my gun kind of, you know, popping shots at whatever was chasing us. So, you know, you got that extra cover, but then you also got the, you know, peak visibility to kind of look over. So I think that's kind of cool. All right, so let's come around over here to the other side. You got a survival kit, cargo access. Looks like that's linked up with the rest of the cargo. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like that's linked up with the rest of the cargo, so that's good. So you can actually draw anything from the rover from here, which is unique. And then if we come over here, what is this? Is this an elevator? Okay, so there's a door here, but it doesn't open. I'm not quite sure what the functionality of this is, but maybe we'll see later on. Let's go ahead and head upstairs here. And it looks like, okay, so we got some doors leading into a, I guess just a little living space, I suppose, some crew quarters. And then, okay, so yeah, this is the door that we saw. I wonder if this is, yes, it turns on. Okay, so this is, I guess maybe like a little getaway hatch if you need to like hop out through the bottom last second or something. What's over here? Okay, so, all right, so it looks like we got a bathroom. Got a bathroom in here. Got all the amenities for any long journeys you might be going on. I like this window right here. It really adds like some extra detail to the ship. You can kind of just look out, see what's going on the outside while you're taking a poo, I guess. And then if we go to the other side, all right, we got our crew quarters. So we have our beds here. We have some little gear up stations, and then another window here looking out, just kind of mirroring the other side. I like how this rover only has 2 beds, just because I feel like a lot of rovers kind of go overboard with their bedrooms when they do have them, and it's like, why do you need 50 bedrooms if you only like need 2 people to man the ship? So I do appreciate that they were kind of limited with the amount of bedrooms that they decided to put on this. And then if we come to the front here, this is a little cockpit area. This looks really nice, actually. I really enjoy this. It's very simple, but it's effective. You know what I mean? Like, there's no extra fanciness, no room for error. You have a nice little viewing area. All right, so this is the main control panel here, it looks like. Left side. I like this a lot. So you have everything bounded on here. Before we start driving this thing, let's go ahead and go up to the next level and just kind of explore this ship a little bit more. So coming up here, we got our projector. So I'm not quite sure what the functionality of this floor is. I guess it's just kind of limited space. You have a little shelf here to store some components, it looks like. But besides that, there's not much going on here. Let's go ahead and keep going up. So we kind of looked at this earlier. We have just some catwalks leading all over the place if you need to have access to anywhere on the ship. And then you have an interior turret right here. Come down the side. So like I was talking about earlier, you know, you have this little cover space, and then if you need to, you know, peek out, pop some shots at some people, you can do that. And then so you get some more cargo access right here. And the catwalk kind of wraps around. Okay, so this looks like this leads to the little flyer we have here. Let's see if we can fly this thing. So I think this is really unique that they added a flyer to the rover. It kind of adds like a lot of utility to the rover itself, just because what you could use this for is like scouting or visibility or whatever you want to do with it. It's actually kind of functional. So let's go ahead and pop this off of the connector here, And then it looks like we need to turn on the thrusters. All right, let's see if we can, all right, dock and undock, there we go. Let's see if we can, oh, little bumpy coming out. All right, so let me turn on the dampeners here. Dampeners were not on, but now this thing is really functional actually. So this thing can go up into space, it seems. Let's see. I mean, we won't fly all the way up into space, but I mean, if it can fly in 1G that fast, it should be able to go up into space. I'm not quite sure why you need to do that with a rover, but even still, it's cool to have that functionality. And then with this little flyer, you can, you know, fly around, look around the surrounding area, see if you spot anything, and then you can move your rover accordingly. So like if you see an enemy base right in front of you, you can decide to maybe go a different direction. All right, let's see if we can try and bring this back to dock. This thing is a little bit uncontrollable, but let me see if I can. I know there's a lot of ships out there that have their little flyers or drones or whatever tucked in their little cramped spaces, and it seems almost as if when you get the flyer out of there, you can't get it back in. So it's kind of nice when you find a ship that kind of includes a secondary ship that can actually, you know, reuse it, redock it back up. Also too, it doesn't seem like this flyer uses the new AI. However, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it necessarily needs it. However, if you wanted something like that, you definitely probably add that to this rover pretty easily. Let's see, can we dock that back up? And all right, so it looks like we're docked back up there. Oh, let's go ahead and turn off the thrusters real quick. All right, thrusters are off. All right, so that looks like it's the majority of the rover here. I don't think we missed too much. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you guys really quickly is if you press this button down here, the connector will come down. That's pretty cool. So I talked about this briefly earlier, but you know, if you're driving this over a station and you want to dock it really quickly, you can do that too. And to help with that, you can kind of change the suspension of the wheels on the fly to either get lower to the ground or maybe a little bit higher off the ground too. Let's go ahead and try driving this thing a little bit and see how well it does. All right, so it looks like the parking brake's on. Let's turn that off. All right, let's try driving it up this hill here. I want to try and see if I can get it out of the ice lake. It's a little bit challenging to get anything out of these steep cliffs here, but this thing looks like it can handle it. Let's see, we gotta come up maybe a little bit of a different angle. Oh, so another thing that's actually really cool about this rover is it has this little nitrous hydrogen thruster at the back there. It's just one little tiny thruster, but sometimes that seems to be able to do the trick for this thing and you know, really get the momentum you need just to kind of make it over whatever you need to make it over. So let's see, can we get this over this? Come on. May have to maneuver it just a little bit here because this is pretty steep. It doesn't quite look as steep as it might seem, but these ice lakes are pretty sunken into the ground. But yeah, no, actually it got out of that pretty easily. Not too bad at all. Let's see if we can, you know, go over some bumps here. Oh, try and flip this thing. All right, yeah, no, not bad at all. All right, let's go ahead and try and see how fast this thing can go. So we'll go ahead and leave the nitrous on here. I guess if you want to call it that, you got a little thruster at the back, added speed, not too bad at all. But yeah, hey, we're going up to like around 40, 44, 45. Can we hit 50? Hey, not bad at all. I know, 50 doesn't seem like a lot. And hey, this might even hit 60 here, but you know, for rovers, this is actually pretty quick. There's a lot of rovers out there that can like barely hit like 15 kilometers or sorry, meters per second. So this is actually really great. Yep, just smash through the trees, no problem. Yeah, no, this thing can this thing can go off-road, no problem at all. This thing's actually pretty, you know, actually well designed. There's a lot of ships on the workshop that, you know, they look very nice, but they're not actually functional. This thing has both. So this thing's definitely functional and actually looks good. So definitely really cool. Oh, we might actually break this thing. Oh my goodness. Alrighty, so that'll be all for today, guys. If you guys want to check out this rover for yourself, I put a link to it for the workshop in the description if you want to check it out. However, Besides that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And without further ado, have a good one.